So it's very important that you pay attention to the trading activity, the trading candlesticks on the daily, which show up around this very, very significant pivot point, about 17,680 on the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Today we have seen what we call a spinning top candlestick. This is reflecting indecision at this very, very important pivot point and is going to dictate to us what this market does more so on the intermediate time frame. If we start to break down below the lows of today's candlestick, if we start to close below this very important support level, we are going to see, or probability is going to dictate that we are going to see a much bigger correction across not only the Dow Jones but also the S&P and the Nasdaq back down into this primary trend. Now the primary trend is coming in about 17,000, the psychological round number. Here we are trading up at 17,680. That's about a 680 point estimated sell-off if we start to really fail around the current trading area. That's a pretty significant movement for anyone, especially people who are looking for active swing trades to the downside. Now very, very rarely will this just occur over a couple of trading sessions. What generally shows up in this particular chart pattern is that we will start to fail it, we will come back up, we will retest the pivot point as new resistance, and that is when the shorts start to gang up at a very important pivot point and the market makes the downward type of move. That is type of that is the type of the trading activity which I'm sort of looking at and hypothesizing as we round out the month of March and move into April 2015. What is very, very important at the moment is that as at the close on today's trading session, the net movement for the market for the year 2015, let me just zoom in so you can see this, is actually negative. So for the entire 3 months of trading or so, we are actually negative for the year 2015. We have closed below the 1st of January levels, and that is quite bearish for the overall market. If you take into consideration this bigger type of pattern, this type of consolidation type of distributional pattern going on, it really looks as if potentially this market is at least starting to consolidate sideways. We are setting up some form of a big type of channel, a big type of range bound market, which is probably going to set up as we continue further into 2015. Yes, it does look ominous. Yes, we do have a double top. And you know what? We are pretty much sitting on the edge of, a pretty decent sell-off around the corner. That's what it's looking like. That's what looks as if it's going to materialize as we move into April 2015. The same is true for the S&P. Again, a spinning top, not so much down at that neckline level. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is more so a lot closer to that neckline. It is, however, somewhat close on the S&P 500. Again, a spinning top candle, down about 5 points on the daily, give or take. This is my after hours chart, which is streaming at the moment. But you can see here, if we start to see closes below 2,038 points, expect the same type of trading volatility. Short-term move possibly down to about 2014 points, a little bounce retest of the neckline, and then the failure back down to the primary trend line, which has been in effect. It's not drawn on the S&P, but it's been in effect since 2009. Something to at least be mindful of. If you're out there looking for long trades, I'd strongly encourage you not to be looking at long trades at this particular moment in time. Now, moving into the Nasdaq, you can see we have a very nice bullish type of counterattack candlestick. You can see we gapped down, we immediately traded back up, and we tried to close very close to the close on Wednesday. Now, we didn't get there. It is somewhat of a bearish candlestick still. We still have a long upper wick on this particular candlestick. We are right at the neckline again. So although the chart is looking a little bit different, we haven't broken out to all-time highs on the Nasdaq. It's still a very weak-looking chart. Levels on this are a little bit different. It's not as if you can short below the neckline. It's more so a wait-and-see type of chart pattern. Now, there are a lot of tech companies looking quite weak. There's also a lot which are actually at support and potentially rounding a bottom and moving back up to the upside. So please be selective in your swing trade selections. Just because a market looks as if it's going to sell off doesn't mean that you need to start jumping into an array of bearish trades. Make sure that the chart confirms. Now, some of these stocks which we're following is Apple. Apple's been up about $1 today, 86 cents. Hasn't really had, the net movement that the overall markets have had. It's held up quite decently. Amazon again today is coming back down and it's retesting that support level down here at about 366. Two very interesting candles, two shooting star candlesticks, one on Monday, another on Wednesday. Today was just a spinning top candle. It has held up quite well in consideration to other types of charts. You can see Boeing Airlines starting to break down a nice looking, somewhat of a triple top. Now, it's not a perfect triple top. Usually these chart patterns establish themselves over about 2 to 3 months, but you can see we have three very defined swing highs. So it's looking a little bit like a reversal. Pay attention to this level down here, 145, and then down as low as 138 and even 134 over the coming weeks. A very nice looking type of swing trade. Baidu is back down at support. You can see right here we had a spinning top followed by another spinning top. Bit of a hard or somewhat of a hard swing trade at the moment, especially when you factor in this gap right here. We are moving into the apex, so just pay attention to the price action on Baidu. Caterpillar, again, let me zoom in and show you this. The red box has been a Fibonacci retracement level, and we thought this would act as resistance as we moved into the week. It has, again, a very bearish candlestick. It's what we call, again, a shooting star. It is a white body, but look at that long upper wick on Caterpillar. Bearish, bearish, bearish. Same as this particular candlestick right here. And then we've got engulfing candlesticks in between. So it's a very, very bearish looking stock. CVX is really starting to roll over at this pivot point. You can see how we let these trades sort of materialize before we start bringing in entries. Now, there's a 103.84 new update sort of swing entry. I won't be taking it. I'm actually going to delete it because, again, the risk and reward doesn't really justify the trade. I mean, your risk really needs to go above this particular candlestick here. And it just doesn't make sense swing trading it down to 101. But a very realistic sell short entry down to support if you can follow this intraday. FAS really just dancing around that pivot point. You can see right here, closing at about 120. Facebook is interesting because we've pulled back into that buyable area. You can see we had quite a down day on Wednesday. It's still holding within the sort of overall structure of the market or this particular stock. We've broken out. We're coming back down. We're retesting old resistances, new support. It looks quite healthy, up 9 cents today. In the face of a mixed market or at least a weak market, it's not enough to be considering buy opportunities. You should still be paying attention to about the 81 area. If you get down to 81 and you start to see a variety of bullish engulfing, bullish counterattacks, hangman type of candlesticks, hammer candlesticks, any of these types of candlesticks, then that would be your buy signal to start looking at calls. At the moment, it's a little premature, but you can definitely make the argument that we are starting to sort of, set up the potential for a re-entry in Facebook. Google today is just dancing right on that bullish trend line. You can see that it's held up again quite well. Down $3.33 and 36 cents, give or take a few pennies. This is after hours sort of prices, but it's looking still semi-decent. We do have a tweezer top, which has shown up between Tuesday and Wednesday. Spinning top today on Thursday, but it's still holding above the simple moving averages. It's holding above the exponentials. And we're very, very mixed on our oscillating indicators. You can see by the Bollinger Bands, we are starting to set up a squeeze. So pay attention to Google. It is going to set up a very nice bidirectional trade setup. GoPro, again, just fizzling out, not doing a whole lot. IBM, you can see the buying first candle inside. It's what we call an inside day harami. Now, again, it's not enough to go long, but at least it's giving us structure. Over the coming days, if we set up a really nice short entry back down to about 154. So pay attention to IBM. It's not there yet. It is starting to set up. And Netflix, I mean, today, gap down, spinning top candle. If the NASDAQ really, again, starts to break down below this neckline, if the Dow Jones starts to fail, Netflix is a really good shorting candidate because we've got targets down here at about 400 to begin with, or 405.60 if you want to be, somewhat more, guaranteed sort of target hit at 405.60. But you also have, very reasonable targets at about 350. Which is a very long way. It's $70 away from where we're trading now, but also a very good target. You can see this very, very ominous sort of looking head and shoulders type of chart pattern. And now we're just waiting for confirmation. So a very nice type of short there. And Tesla today is moving back down into support. You can see again how we're moving back into the apex of this stock. Very similar to Baidu. If you look at the difference between Tesla and Baidu, it's somewhat very similar. There's not too much in the way of differences. You can see how we're nearing into the apex and expect to see a breakout type of trade on these two stocks when the time is right, when that market gives us clear clarification to do so. So that is a Thursday afternoon market recap. Have a great evening, ladies and gentlemen, around the world. If you have any questions, email me success@pivotpoint-trading.com. I'll see you over the weekend in that pro analysis workshop. All the best. Goodbye.